Our guest today is aiming at making $5 million annually wholesaling real estate, which is a strategy that you can use to find a rundown house and make a finder's fee by passing it to an investor who wants to flip it or add it to their portfolio like a hedge fund. So today we're going to interview Brad Bone, who lives in California, and he manages the business totally in Jacksonville, Florida, remotely across the country. So if you've got questions on how much can you make wholesaling, how do you go about dealing with a wholesale deal, how could I do it virtually, what are the things I say when I'm on an appointment, this episode is for you. My name's David. I created a process that's helped people close 10,000 wholesale deals in all 50 states using the software platform called DealMachine. Brad Bone, welcome to the podcast. I'm curious, could you start off by telling us, when did you get your first wholesale deal and how did you find it?
Yeah, my first wholesale deal was 2015, early 2015. We got it through a wholesaler. It was, I think, it was our second deal that we did after my brother and I started our company. We hadn't even started. I guess him and I just started working together early in 2015. And first deal was a rental that we bought and we still own today. Second deal was a wholesale deal from a wholesaler.
And now you primarily are a wholesaler yourself, right? You said you primarily do assignments as one of your top two exit strategies.
Yep.
So you transitioned from buying from a wholesaler to becoming a wholesaler.
Right.
Why did you do that?
Yeah, I remember trying to figure it out early on. Like, do we try to network with a bunch of wholesalers, do it that way, or do we do our own marketing? I was trying to figure that out. And really, I realized the best thing to do is your own marketing, control your own deal flow. And originally, we were not really wholesalers. We were more fix and flip operators. Did that for a long time. And then eventually went back to closing less and doing strategies that don't require us to close and working with partners. So that's really what we do now.
Got it. What transition? Why did you feel wholesaling was better to focus on than doing more flips?
Well, some of it had to do with the market shifting in the past couple of years. And, we ended up with some inventory that you go through something like that and you're like, okay, it is nice to not have a bunch of inventory to hold on to and just, be able to have a business where you can get through those cycles without too much stress. And as long as you continue to market well and have good buyers. So that's really, we always knew that was the advantage to wholesaling, but it kind of really set in over the past few years.
Got it.
Yeah.
Do you do any flips at all anymore?
No, we haven't actually bought a flip property in about a year. We have closed on a few deals in the past year, but those were just kind of quick hotels. But actually to flip something, we haven't done that in about a year.
Okay, got it. Mm-hmm. Well, when was your actual first wholesale deal? How long was it after you bought that rental property from a wholesaler?
Yeah, it was about 3 months, I think it was.
Oh, wow. So you were real quick turned on to the idea.
Yeah. It just came across actually, let me back up. That was a deal we closed on. So that wasn't a wholesale deal. That was buying from a wholesaler. Our first real wholesale deal. Yeah, that was a few years, I think. That was a few years.
Okay.
And I think it was when we started marketing, we started to, we really didn't have a buyer's list for a while. And if I remember right, I think it was a buyer just we found on Facebook and, made it work that way. And all of a sudden we're like, oh, this actually is not that hard. This is pretty easy. We'd done it on the other side, been the buyer, but we hadn't done it, where we were the seller. Yeah.
Right. So you found a deal. How did you market to it? How did you even find somebody that wanted to sell for a discount?
That was through text marketing then. Yeah. It was all
right.
Yep.
Something that was more effective back then. Now it's got a lot of filtering from the carriers. They don't like it. So you're not doing that anymore?
We're not right now.
Okay. What do you do now?
We do a lot of inbound. So we do TV marketing, direct mail, and PPC. Those are the main three. A little bit of SEO, but those are the main three. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I want to talk to you about your direct mail.
Mm-hmm.
So how much do you spend on direct mail and per deal? I would say, like, what would be your budget that you would spend? The reason why I'm asking is because someone's listening to this who's never done a deal. Mm-hmm. They're going to spend $100 on direct mail and get frustrated that it didn't work.
Yeah. So we just got back into direct mail about 2 months ago, and we'd done direct mail in the past. In fact, when we first started, that was the main marketing channel back then. But we just got back into it. We did, our first month was, I think, a $17,000 spend, and we got actually like 5 deals from that. It was a pretty good return. So we just doubled it. So now we're at about somewhere around 30, and that's been in the past few weeks.
Okay, so you're saying you spent $15,000 and you got 5 deals from that?
We got a pretty. I think that's higher than normal. I think we got a little
Yeah.
bit of a glut in the front, but yeah, that's not necessarily typical. But yeah, we got some good deals.
Yeah. So if somebody was replicating that, they might just plan to spend at least $3,000, right, to get
For
a deal
sure.
they could make. How much would you make on a wholesale deal from one of those direct mailers, would you say?
You know, if it was straight wholesale, maybe 15 to 20, something like
Oh,
that.
wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Mhm.
Good spread on that.
Yeah.
So, okay. And you're comparing that with PPC, which is pay per clicks. Basically, you spend money. So when somebody searches "sell my house" in your area, you guys have a blue link on Google that shows up at the top, and it goes to your website.
Yes. Yes.
And then you got into TV. I mean, that's pretty cool. Do you ever watch yourself on TV and turn on the show just to see your commercial?
We actually market in Jacksonville, Florida. So we live in California. So I don't see the commercials at home, but I have seen the commercial. I used to cringe a lot more. Now I don't care as much. But it's but we've been running those commercials for probably about 3 years now, and we
Yeah.
just continue to go with them. Yeah.
What's the commercial say? Like, a quick summary of what it says. What's the message?
Yeah, it's basically it's, hey, are you looking for, to sell your house fast for cash, that kind of thing. And we
Same thing we'd say on the phone. It'd be like, hey, would you be interested in selling this property?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We did try to change the message slightly because we do novations where, we can actually offer a little bit more. And so we tried to soften the message a little bit into, hey, do you want a convenient way to sell kind of thing? And we noticed our lead count went way down. So we're like, we got to go back to the just in your face, I want to buy your ugly house type of message, and lead count came back, and then we could still work them as a novation.
Well, what's a novation? Now, you mentioned the word wholesale, and now you're mentioning novation, which is a little bit different than wholesaling, which is what we usually talk about on this podcast.
Yeah, so novation is a way it's like wholesaling, except you can sell a house on the MLS to a financed buyer. So you can get financed type offers, which are going to be higher than a cash investor. And there's some paperwork involved, and there's a kind of a process in doing that. But it's worked great for us. We've been doing a lot of those in the past year.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting. So how many wholesale deals versus novations do you do, would you say?
Yeah, we're really probably 80% novations, 20% wholesale. I think that percentage is a little bit too high. Like, I actually want to do more wholesales than 20%. Part of the issue you run into is you have acquisition people who might gravitate towards the novation because it's a little bit easier to lock up. It's a little bit higher price we can pay. So one thing about doing a novation strategy is really, you still got to try to get really deep deals. And so I would like to see more wholesales than what we're doing right now.
Yeah, it's just easier probably, right?
Yeah.
Than going through the novation process. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So why, if you live in California, did you start doing this in Jacksonville, Florida?
Yeah, it's a good question. We used to go to these IMN conferences, we were the small fish in a huge pool of hedge funds and all this kind of stuff. And we got free tickets. We would go, and we were brand new. We were nobody. And we're listening to these guys talking about buying in the Southeast and, how great it is in the Southeast. And we just got something in our head, like, we need to be out of state. And I think there's something about when you grow up as a real estate investor in California, you're always kind of trying to get out of the state because rent laws aren't great. Tenant laws aren't great. You got a lot of regulations. So you're trying to figure out how can I do this somewhere else? And not that you can't make great money in California, because you can, It's not like New York, where New York has a lot of issues that are even worse in some ways. But that's what, we started marketing in Jacksonville. We just kind of picked the market, started sending direct mail, and over time you get more and more comfortable, and you meet people, and it grows from there. So it wasn't an overnight, like, huge transition. It took a lot of time.
Well, how did you manage to do it virtually, by the way? How did you know it was a good property? How did you know about the market? How do you do the repairs? How do you manage those relationships with the contractor? I guess you don't have to do that if you're wholesaling, but
Yeah.
in your own words, like how did you start that? Seems intimidating to do that from literally across the country.
Yeah. So this was about 2018, and we were still fix and flipping then. So we would, I don't know that we had the best processes in place, but we were kind of okay with buying over the phone through pictures, using pictures as our due diligence. And it worked out for the most part. Sometimes we get stung on stuff, but this was, right leading up to COVID, when everyone started buying over the phone. And we kind of learned to buy over the phone early. We don't do that anymore, but that was our process, is buying over the phone. So it kind of worked pretty well to transition to another market. So yeah, it was relying on other people, relying on third party people to go out there, take pictures, try to tell us what's going on. And then we had, connections with contractors out there, and worked it like that.
What were you doing before you started attending the IMN conferences and bought your first couple rental properties?
So I was working as a construction manager, like project manager and estimator for a construction company. I got a degree in construction management. Worked for a commercial builder for a couple years, and then I worked for a government military construction contractor for about 6 years. And so I was doing that kind of stuff, project management, estimating, things like that. And then got into real estate.
Well, has this been like a big change in your lifestyle, or just like a different business that you enjoy more?
Yeah, it was another business that I enjoyed more. It was a chance to start our own business, to work with my brother. My brother's him and I are twins. So It was a chance for us to work together. And that's really what it was. I liked the job I had before. It was a good job, and I was able to work from home. But this was, the sky's the limit when you can kind of chart your own path.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, as your brother, did you guys ever get in any fights?
We did when we were younger.
Operating the same business. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We fought when we were younger, for sure. And we've had disagreements even in business at times, but really they pale in comparison. Like, our disagreements are more superficial about superficial things, or, kind of minor things. Our core values have always been the same. What we wanted out of the business has always been the same. And I've told people like this, like, we've been partners since the womb. So I remember kind of being a little nervous about, what's it going to be like to partner with my brother, or even have a partner. Are we just splitting profits for no reason? But it's the best thing I ever did. It's the best thing we did, because over time you start to realize he's really good at certain things that I'm not as good at, and I'm better at certain things that he's not. And it's really worked out well.
Got it.
I think partnership.
Well, what are the things you're better at?
What's that?
I mean, he's not here, so tell me the things you're better at.
I think his mind works a little bit more into the details. So he does really well at working with the accountants and managing cash flow, and even diving into the database and figuring out the details of stuff. And my mind works a little bit more. I'm probably a little bit more optimistic, and I look more into the future, and I'm more driving the company, and you need both. And sometimes there's a little friction on that, but there's been times where I'm like, you're actually right. We need to focus on some details here. But at the same time, you need to drive forward. So
that's cool. It seems similar to how Traction, the book, and entrepreneurial operating system splits out visionary and integrator, right?
Yeah.
Kind of, you're the visionary, he's the integrator. Do you guys subscribe to that, or do you follow that book and that system?
We do. So we're not actually set up like that. Recently, we've transitioned the integrator role over to another person, a guy named Brendan, who's been with us for about 3 years. Excellent operator.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So my brother works more as like the finance department head, and then Brendan works as the integrator. I'm more in the visionary role. So that's how we're set up. But I totally believe in traction and that kind of mindset. It's just that my brother and I aren't quite like set up that him and I aren't in those roles.
Yeah. Just curious about how you guys did that. We've implemented a lot from Traction as well, specifically meeting structure. That was very helpful for me on how to make the best use of a meeting time. And, but me and my partner also, we don't fit into the exact mold that it said you should split your duties up into.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just are extra clear on who people should go to for what. And it works well for us. So I took what worked well and modified it a little bit too. So it sounds like you guys have done that as well. And dude, congratulations on hiring somebody who's not an owner in that integrator role, because it shows the maturity of your business and how you've been able to start hiring to remove things off your plate, which is the whole point in starting a business.
Right.
You don't want to be the one in it working forever. So that's fantastic. Really excited for you guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
So where can people find you, Brad, on social media?
Probably the best way to find me would be Brad at River.
Google Sell My House Jacksonville and see what comes up.
Yeah, so probably Brad at riverxai.com. That's another brand we have. But I'm on Facebook as well, and Brad Bone. I think it's Brad D Bone. I think.
Okay, cool.
But anyway, you'll find me there.
Oh, one thing I never did ask that I just want to ask now because I'm curious. On the direct mail, like, who do you send that to? How do you target the properties that you're sending that to?
Yeah, so the list we use is 80/20. And I know those guys over there, they're great. They're pretty experienced in knowing how to find good lists. And
so it's kind of like a black box. You don't really know how they put it together, but you pay a lot and they give you the list.
Well, actually 80/20 does show you a lot of what they're pretty transparent in what you're sending to. So,
what is it?
It's a motivated list. It's stacked. It's got all the points of motivation. I can't remember what it all is, but we basically bought I think 4 counties around Jacksonville. And then, you're hitting, I don't know, 30,000 of them or something like that. And the top 30,000 and going from there. So I think it's important to make sure you have a good list.
What does it cost to buy a county? Like exclusively, right? That means they won't sell that list to someone else in that area.
No, it's not necessarily an exclusive thing. I think they have a certain amount of seats for, that county, but we're like $2,000 a month for those 4 counties is what we pay. It's like a subscription type thing for a year.
Yeah. So for the seats, that means they won't sell it to 5 people in that county. They'll only sell it to a few.
Yeah. Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Brad. I'm very excited for you guys. Where do you think you'll take the business from here? What are your goals going forward?
Yeah, I mean, we want to continue to grow. I mean, we want to, get to 5 million gross in, next year. So we're just pushing. This year has been a year. Last year was a little bit of a year of trying to change strategies, get away from fix and flip, kind of solve some of those issues. And now this year is like, pushing forward. So yeah, I think our goal is just to continue to grow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, 5 million gross would be sick. Not a lot of wholesalers have achieved that level of success. So, and I love the moves you guys are making to allow the scale, right? Specifically with the integrator. Yeah. So, congrats to you for all the success. Pass it on to your brother too. And we'll send you some DealMachine goodies for being on the podcast, and we'll go live with this probably in a week. Okay. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks a lot, David.
Serious operators like Brad will pay $2,000 a month just for their data, not the expense of texting or cold calling or direct mailing that list. And you heard him say it's several motivating factors stacked. So I wanted to let you guys know, just starting out, DealMachine truly gives you the power that Brad has available inside of the DealMachine app for only $119 a month with a 7-day free trial. So there's a list stacking feature. First of all, I want you to go to the map, take it out, search your city zip code, one that you'd like to do a deal in. And then the quick list will show you several motivations that you could check. So you could check expired listings, which means they tried to sell it with a realtor and they didn't sell it. You could do tax delinquent, and you could also do tired hired landlords. And then there's a little toggle switch that says match all. So that stacks those 3 motivations. So that's what list stacking means. It means you're going to get houses back that meet all of those. So they're extra motivated because they have multiple motivations. And then down in the right left corner, it'll say how many properties that is. And maybe if it's a small list like 400, then you could expand your zip code. So type in another zip code in the map and press enter and keep doing that. It will add zip codes and properties that meet those 3 things until you've got a list of at least over 1,000, and click build list. That's going to be a perfect list for you guys to start at a fraction of the cost. And you could send direct mail or just select all those leads once the list is built and call them directly from the DealMachine app. And you're going to be set on your way. You make 1,000 phone calls to a list like that, pretty much guarantee somebody is going to want to sell their house. So hopefully that was helpful and you guys enjoyed this episode. Give you a look around the corner to somebody who is advanced in this business.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.